to the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call: Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Brian Smith.
Yes.
Okay, you all have a copy of the proposed minutes from last month's meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to the proposed minutes? If not, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion on the floor to approve the minutes as presented. Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Brian Smith. Yeah. You're not voting.
Abstain, whatever, yeah, however.
Okay. The financial report is presented in the council packets. Any questions and numbers submitted, so if not, motion to approve the bank reconciliation for the month of October.
I'll make it. I'll second that.
Bryce second, and Dean made the motion.
Yep.
Okay. Motion on the floor to approve the bank reconciliation and distributions for the month of October. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
and Brian Smith. Were there any, I'm gonna pass this around so you guys can sign the finance for the reconciliation. Any questions on the Rita report from last month? Before I move, I guess I'll do it as the finance fiscal officer. I guess if there's no questions, we'll move into guests. The only guest that's on the agenda for this month is Angel Steiner. You got 3 minutes.
Just right here?
Wherever
Wherever you're
comfortable.
No, it doesn't matter to me. Everybody hear me, I have a very low voice,
Just
so
your
I will
pen.
speak as loudly as I can. On October 28th, we received a zoning warning blowing in our yard. We assumed it was ours because it had our names on it, but it was blowing in our yard, and that was confusing to us. It referenced our fifth wheel was stored not in our rear yard, so I acknowledged it by emailing our zoning inspector, Mr. Oberlin. And I did notice that it was dated on the 26th at 8 p.m., which I'm not sure why it was blowing in our yard because we were home and unloading from our trip to Kentucky at that time. So in my email to Mr. Oberlin, I let him know that I would like to have a meeting with him and discuss the warning and what we could do to be in compliance with the Village of Antwerp. And he agreed, and I said I reviewed the rules and understood what they meant, and I remember talking to Mr. Reister in September that I would review the rules, and I did, and I thank you for that email. And Mr. Franks, thank you for your email reply to me too when I emailed you. So when Mr. Oberlin came over last week, I think it was, I showed him our fifth wheel. I told him why it was there, when we purchased it, and what the nature of why it was there. Our fifth wheel is in our driveway because it's being renovated. It's not being stored there. We plan to move it to Kentucky as soon as it is movable and safe to do that. Because we have property down there that's going to be our home away from home. After I explained all that to him, he gave me the information that I needed to apply for a temporary zoning permit. And so that's been accepted by him, and I should have that posted in the front window of our fifth wheel as soon as possible. So hopefully that satisfies you all. And if you have any further questions, you can talk to me, because this was my baby. I wanted to do it, and that's how that goes. Now, just another thing, I started watching the videos of all the meetings, and I've been severely disappointed in all of you and how you have cooperated with each other, my husband included. I would appreciate in the future better cooperation, better communication without any backlash from anybody. Because we voted for you. I voted for every single one of you sitting in this table, except for the people who were hired. So it would be much appreciated if you all could work together, because we live in this village, because we love this village. I do anyway. We moved here in 2005 with our family, dropped everything we had, and moved here and made this our home. Bryce has worked very hard since we moved here to be a part of this village and to make it a better place. I would appreciate if you all worked together. He's hard to work with sometimes, I know. I've lived with him for almost 30 years. I've known him for longer. So if we could all do that, I would appreciate it greatly, because I love this town. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, I guess we'll move down to, since George is not here for questions on the police report. On the fiscal officer's report, before we get into the ordinances, I just want to let everybody know that the audit is complete. No findings as far as fraud or anything on the audit. The only thing that they had on there that we need to get it is the certificates for the public records information. Well, not everybody is in compliance, so if you are not in compliance and have not done your public records training,
They don't do certificates anymore.
well, apparently there's somebody that's not in compliance. I don't know who's not in
I
compliance.
don't know
but
who is not.
If you haven't had your public records training since you've taken office or within the last 4 years, that was one
Yeah.
thing that was on the audit that was written up that we need to have done. So,
Did they?
they didn't say who, they just says, I mean, the audit report basically just says.
Yeah, it says right on the website they don't provide certificates anymore. So I'm not sure how we.
Yeah, they didn't ask for certificates when they did the audit, so I'm assuming they have record of when you sign into classes. If you take
Anybody
them.
can look them up.
Yeah, it just says, all officials have not completed their public records training. Not all elected officials have completed their public records training, so. That was one thing I wanted to bring up tonight before we moved into, the other thing that I have from the fiscal officer, I have decided, I kind of wanted the board's, I mean, it's not really approval, but I guess to make sure everyone's aware. We had some money that was sitting in the checking account that was learning low interest rates, so I've done a 6-month CD, at 4.54%, and then I took another portion of the money and put it into an 11-month CD at 5.12 to try to get some, better interest rates. And I have plans to move another portion of the, what's in the checking account that we don't use on a regular basis until we have funds into what's called Star Ohio, which the current yield on Star Ohio as of September 30th was 5.56%. The good thing with Star Ohio is it's directly through the Robert Sprague, the Ohio Treasurer, who handles this, but that money is not tied up like a CD for like, we don't have to wait till 6 months. We put it in if we need it back out next week because the project comes up, we can pull right back out of there, so. Just want to make you guys aware of it.
Is that available only to municipalities?
Municipalities, well,
Government.
government entities.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
very good. So moving into the rest of the fiscal officer report, we've got our third and final reading of the resolution 2023-14. This is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. So we're looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Motion on the floor to adopt the resolution 2023-14. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt.
Yes.
All right, moving on. We've got a emergency motion, or emergency reading for ordinance 2023-17. This is the ordinance authorizing an agreement by and between the Village of Antwerp, Ohio, and Paragon Tempered Glass LLC for the supply and purchase of water and provisions of sewer service and declaring this an emergency. So I need a motion.
Could we have some discussion on that first?
Do your motion in second.
We don't have a motion or a second,
I'll
so
make a motion, we suspend the rules of 3 readings.
I would like to present some information. Am I not allowed to?
You are.
After
After
this
the
motion.
motion's in the second, then you can then,
Then we'll
There's
discuss
time for
that.
discussion.
Yet, Okay,
I'll second that motion.
Motion to suspend
okay.
by Dean, and the second was by Steve. So there's a motion to suspend the rules on the floor. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yeah.
Bryce Steiner,
No.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt.
yes.
All right, so 4-1.
What's your discussion?
Okay. I think Paragon is great. I did some more research on our water, and I think this is everything that people should know. Okay? Here's the facts. The $16.8 million upgrade is not in Antwerp. Let's make sure we understand that. The contractor's not from Antwerp, and contrary to what was presented before, I think it was said that there would be approximately 50 workers added. It's automation that is being added. I checked with our economic development director. It is not, they said that 9 new positions will be created, but the whole purpose is automation because they're actually struggling to get workers like everybody else is. They already got a 7-year tax exemption from Antwerp School, which is 62% of their taxes now. And for 7 years, they will have an abatement of at least $25,000. That's per the Paulding County Auditor's Office. I was actually at that meeting when that was approved. From June 22nd through May of 23, the annual usage was at 6.4 million gallons. So the 8.5 million gallons that was mentioned for all of June 22 there was some kind of major leak, I think, in January and February, because at 1.8 million and 1.4 million on both those months, they never had a month duplicated even close to those on those papers. And Brian handed some of those out to us that clarified some of that. So their average is about 2 million less than that, from my understanding. And increasing that to the new rate, which would bring it, the total, from $31,453, it brings it up to only $33,154. And since this rate was set in 2017, that is less than 1% increase per year, while we put a 25% increase on average to everybody else. If they were in the village of Antwerp and paying regular rates as a business, they would be paying $51,524.73. If they were treated as if all the other businesses who are not paying RETA or property taxes in the village, that's those served outside the city limits, the amount would actually be $78,686. So they're getting a massive, massive discount. Okay, and that would be $46,000 that is lost every year when we could be paying for pipes in this town. We have a serious need for pipes, and I want to bring up another one. They only have about 15 workers that pay RETA taxes at an average of $400 each, which is a total of only $6,000 a year, which does not make up that difference. If this was, I also contacted the city of New Haven, and the reason why is because they're on US 24, they're our closest city, and if you're gonna go somewhere, you're probably gonna go there because there's 469 also. I gave them the exact same numbers, and they came up and said the amount would be $118,655.40 annually, which is quite a bit more than what we're charging. In fact, right now that was 3.5% times higher, not percent, 3.5% higher than what we're currently charging. Even if we raised it, even if we kept it to what we have in our contract now, the current contracts of everybody outside the village versus those inside the village, the amount would only be $78,000. So this is not a huge increase when you compare it to other towns like Fort Wayne, New Haven. New Haven gets theirs from Fort Wayne. So, but there's another issue, and Brian, I do thank you for giving me the numbers today, because right now we pump 61 million gallons. Okay, but we lose. In 2022, we lost 28% of all the water we pumped. We lost 17.25 million gallons to water leaks. Over 25% of our water because of our bad lines. And we've talked about they need serious replacement. And they're not getting paid for it for getting discounts. So, here's my last point on this. And that is the cost, according to the appropriation sheet that were handed out tonight, between water and sewer, it cost the town $889,000, $764.68. $889,764.68. And if we divide that by the current amount of $33,154.34, they are paying only 3.7% of the cost to maintain the system, but they're using 19.2% of the total water. So, I am not in favor of the working class paying for the millionaires. And I love Paragon, and I wish them the most profits they can get. But we are in serious situations with our water lines when we're losing 28% to broken pipes. And I think we should let them pay just as much as everybody else does. The 40% that are outside the village actually pay more than the 60% that was mentioned last month in actual dollars. If any of these numbers are inaccurate, please let me know now and I'll correct them. I will correct one thing here too. Last month, I did say that they were paying $16 per 1,000 gallons, and that was specifically because the ordinance on the website is wrong. It needs updated, along with a lot of other things. It still says our meetings are on the third Monday of the month. Okay.
You had mentioned the appropriation sheet from tonight, and I understand exactly where you're coming at, but that's total budgeted.
That's
total
correct.
Expenditures are nowhere near the 800,000.
I know.
I'm 300 and not even 330 spent so far this year on water, and 200 and not even 230 on sewers.
No, I said appropriations because that is what we kind of base it on, but we still have a serious problem though. And since they're not paying any income tax or any of the taxes in this village, I don't really see how we can give them any. I don't think they're any more special than any other business. And that's all I have to say about that. If you guys want to go ahead and approve it, go ahead. But I just wanted to present all the facts.
There's a motion to approve by Dean. Is there a second to the motion?
I made a motion to.
Motion to approve the ordinance as presented.
I had a question, actually. Why is it an emergency reading?
Because their contract ends at the end of December.
And we don't have 3
Okay.
months to vote, or 3 meetings between now and then.
And if we don't pass it by then, we don't get our 3 readings in, what
We have to
happens?
have a special meeting.
It goes to the rates we've already voted on.
A continuation of what we
No.
have right now.
It goes to the rates we voted in last year.
No, we do a special meeting because we have a contract with them.
Okay.
It wouldn't just default to the current billable rates.
Gotcha.
Are we allowed to have, this would be a question for the attorney, are we allowed to have exclusive contracts?
I don't believe this one's for over 2 calendar years, is it? Or
No.
24,
Yes, it
25,
is.
It's 3 years.
26?
Yeah.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I think that you can have the 3-year one.
An exclusive, like
What do you mean
where
exclusive?
exclusive is in, for company A has a different rate than company B, and company B can't even get to that rate. Because we made an exclusive contract with company A, which is Paragon is also a foreign-owned company too, according to the registration website. But is it even legal? Because I asked the city of New Haven about this. Do you do special contracts for high volume users? They said no, only tiered, because it's not right. They didn't specifically say legal, but to give an exclusive to a company, it would have to be available to all of them. Now, that's Indiana laws, so that's completely different. I'm just wondering, can you make an exclusive contract where you can discriminate against companies? Or for companies, either way.
I think this is the 3rd time third or fourth time at least that we've had this contract.
Yeah, but we've done stuff that hasn't been
I'll look
kosher
in,
before.
I'll gladly look into it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say move forward on the motion today.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-17, an agreement with Paragon Tempered Glass for water and sewer service.
Do we have an automatic increase built in, like we do our regular ones?
3-year rate.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to the motion? If not,
I'll
it'll
second.
fail to left due to lack of pursuit. So there's a second. There's a motion and a second on the floor to approve the ordinance 2023-17. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Nope.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt.
Yes.
Motion passed 4-1.
Before we move on, since George is here, I don't know if we want to talk to George about the police, if there's any questions about the police report, just in case he has something going on. Was there any questions about that?
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thanks to
Sorry.
the voters for supporting our levy too.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks, George.
Okay, the next item for business is an emergency reading for ordinance 2023-18. This is an ordinance to amend Exhibit A to ordinance number 2015-27. Exhibit A being the Village of Antwerp income tax ordinance and declaring the same an emergency. Just to give you guys a little insight on this, I don't have all the details, but House Bill 33 was passed by the state. Shane may be able to give us more information, but basically, from what I understand, is they're trying to get all the villages on like a conformity where all villages are taxing it the same. It's not gonna change our tax rate or anything to our regulations, but is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And the reason it's an emergency is if we don't pass it, we won't be able to start collecting taxes on January 1st for 2024, so.
Make a
There
motion to
there was a
suspend.
lot of changes on there.
Yes.
I'll
So
second.
I was trying to read it all last night, but
Dean has made a motion to suspend. Is there a second? I'm sorry.
I'm second.
Kenny, second. Motion to suspend the rules on the ordinance. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Steve Jordan.
Yeah.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner.
yes.
Okay, now we'll entertain a motion to pass the ordinance.
Is there any, like, what exactly is changing on this? Because there was a lot of changes, like,
Got the highlighted.
it sounded to me like it was
I
changing
went through them. So,
remote workers.
yes, where.
That's a huge, like, if I have a remote worker who doesn't work in the Village of Antwerp at all, how does that apply to them?
My understanding was where if you have remote workers, for example, like UPS and Defiance, they can just take out Defiance city income tax. They do not have to take out for the guy that delivers in Napoleon, or the guy that delivers in the Village of Paulding. They just withhold one single tax for all their employees, and that money stays in that village. My understanding. So the remote work, and are you talking about the people working from home as far as remote?
I am specifically talking like, kind of like Brian did last year, work from home. How does that affect, like, do you pay the Antwerp, like, am I withholding my people that work in Napoleon? I was just quite
think you would
confused
still-
because there were so many updates in there.
That would be a
And I was
question
like,
for that'd be the question for the RITA themselves, I would think. I mean, that's not a
Yeah.
question that I can answer because I don't administer the tax here, so RITA would have the final
It was
say on
making my
that.
eyes crossed, trying to understand what they were
There's
saying.
a lot to it, and it's pretty much Rita's rules and regulations, and if we're gonna use Rita, we gotta agree to this.
Yes,
Everything
That's
that
where
was
we're at.
changed was actually placed into the ordinance.
I know, yeah, and that
What
was,
changed.
but then you had to go and find it in the paragraph to see how it related to the parts before and after. Because it had one paragraph, and I'm like, well, which section does that apply to? And then trying to find it, back and forth.
if there's no other discussion, we'll entertain a motion to pass the ordinance.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Was that Jason?
Yes.
All right. There's a motion on the floor to pass the ordinance 2023-18. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
No.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt.
Yes.
Passes 4-1. The next item of business, is Resolution 2023-13, which is again is a emergency resolution. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an easement to American Electric Power for the benefit of the Antwerp local school district and declaring it an emergency.
I have some questions about that. Several years ago, we had to sign a paper that we would not put any herbicides where we draw our water on the ground above our wells. And it says in here that they have the right to put herbicides down. Did I read that out? And I don't know.
Is that where our wells are?
Yeah, our wells are out there on that, right?
Oh, well, yeah, but I don't think this easement, never mind. I've got too many easements on the mind.
Yeah, our wells are right there in that ground.
That's true. But I think they won't be able to do it because it violates the Ohio EPA regulations.
They won't be able to do what?
I don't believe they'll be able to apply any kind of herbicides.
Because of our wells are there?
Yep.
And
But it's-
Brian, you probably know about the schools. Aren't they building the range right there?
I don't know the exact location. I think it's back off by the baseball out that way, but I don't know if
Yeah.
Myrtle back. I think the easement's farther out, I believe, right? Like where?
This easement should have an exhibit attached to it.
It does.
Yeah, it does, and I think that's right where they're building the new facility.
Why
Which
do
I,
they,
Who's
No,
building the
the-
facility?
No,
Antwerp School's building a new building.
But
Yeah,
this is an easement across our property to get power to that building.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
they're probably their closest location for power is right
Yes.
by the ball field.
Is it,
Are they going overhead or underground, do we know?
The bourne.
They're boring it?
everything will be below.
so they'll just be mowing it anyway.
Right.
No, I don't think anybody will do anything, we'll be mowing it. I mean,
Well,
we'll be taking care of our lot.
Yeah. Who
We're
owns
just
it
giving
now?
them access if they have to get on there to like dig it up for any reason, they have an easement.
I'm in favor of suspending the rules.
Rice has made a motion to suspend
So-
the rules.
So I don't like this easement. They have easements through town where they've recently, last summer asked to, or basically made us widen those easements. If you come down my street, you'll see where they've staked, where they're widening the easement. And it goes, they've taken a lot. And you give them an easement, the next thing you know, they're coming back and they're wanting it to be wider and then wider. So before we make this an emergency reading, let's not do an emergency, let's think about it, where it's going, and let's go look at it and make sure when they come back and widen it, because they will, that
Well,
it's in a spot where we're okay with.
just to kind of put my insight as an electrician, this easement is not a high tension line, like that's
But
going
it
through
doesn't,
town.
but Dean, it
Could
doesn't
be.
say that.
Well,
It's being bored.
It's a bored
You don't-
underground line.
You don't bore a high tension.
Yeah, okay, and I agree with you, but it doesn't say that. It
You're
says
giving
it
them an
could
easement
be.
to do whatever they want. So.
But this is a supply for a building. It's gonna be a 200 amp, maybe a 400 amp three-phase supply underground. It's not gonna be 25,000 volts, 40 feet in the air.
But it could be. They
There
could
would be no reason to.
I mean, unless they're 15 steps ahead of us and there's something going in somewhere else, and it could end up. Once you give them the easement, there's almost no going back on it. That's what I hate about it.
We're discussing it, I got an email, I don't know if anybody else did, there's a meeting a week from tomorrow night concerning this easement that Gabe Oberlin is called.
I haven't gotten
On
any-
this right here,
Yeah.
well, can we hold off? Is there a rush on this?
There's a zoning meeting. next
I don't know if
Thursday
there
night.
is or not.
I know
This
Bill
is
Warren-
the resolution,
Bill Warren's
it's
got
not
it as well,
even-
so Bill sent me
it
his
isn't
copy of it as well.
I don't understand what zoning would have anything to do with an easement on village property
Yeah.
for boring of electric lines.
It's concerning the school, that's what we're,
Well, it may have to do with the building, for the building permit for the school, but it wouldn't be for the easement of power. Zoning doesn't have oversight of that.
I drive by their stakes every day and see how they're widening it, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't, they can find another way around.
Okay. You see on the calendar, it's on there.
is it on there?
Why do we
Yeah,
want to
it's on the
come in?
16th.
Can't they get electricity from the, Bassett
And
Light
does it
building?
spell out what it's for?
No,
One,
it's my understanding, as Dean said, this is the best point for power to take and to power the
School
building.
site plan.
But they can't get from this building over here?
No, because I assume that they've already got a balanced load and that they don't have any excess.
That easement is mentioned.
Oh, maybe in the letter, but the website doesn't have anything.
So are we gonna entertain the motion to suspend the rules or table this?
As I said, I did make a motion, but you can let it fail.
I mean, if there's a lack of second, I guess we'd have to make a change. So there is a motion on the floor to suspend the rules by Bryce. Is there a second?
Tell me more about that meeting afterwards.
I'd say no, because nobody's gonna vote it in.
All right, so it's failed due to lack of second. And that
So
is,
when is that meeting? So
It
like
says-
that we can all show up and know what we're doing.
It
So
says November 16th, and there's two meetings that night. That one says at 5:30 PM, and the one before that says at 5 PM.
Does it say what the meetings are?
The first one says zoning appeals board variance hearing, and the second one is the school site plan public hearing.
Okay, so that only deals with the building.
That's the building, that's not anything to do with this easement.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So, what do you need? You need something written into the contract to say that they're not gonna put high tension lines through there, that it's just gonna be an underground service to a building? Is
Yeah.
that what we need in the contract?
I see what you're saying because I know how
I mean,
it
somebody,
affected.
this got
the-
brought to somebody's attention, somebody's been in contact with the school to bring this up, so.
Well, the school contacted me and told me they needed an easement to cross the property for power. And then, I don't remember if they forwarded it to me or if I carbon copied Shane and they forwarded it to him. AEP sent this agreement.
So this is an easement with the Antwerp local school, not
No,
AEP.
it's with AEP.
It's with AEP.
There's other power lines over there. Why do they have to go across the field?
Because evidently the power lines don't have excess power to provide to run the
So
facility.
where are they
And
gonna
they,
get
you're
the
telling me
power?
there's no other solution for them to run more power?
I'm only telling you what they
This is
asked.
probably their shortest solution,
Yeah.
be my guess. I personally, as an electrician, don't see a problem with it, but I guess I understand your concern with giving them an access, a legal access to do as they please.
This, and
At
another
least
thing
it's
too.
not it's not a residential area, which is good, but yeah.
I mean, but one of the things you gotta take into, I know what your concern is expansion of the easement. This is not a public right of way. That's the difference. Where you're at, you're in a public right of way, and they can expand those easements. This is private property.
You're saying because of the alleyway that's there, where I'm at. What I'm saying to you is, that alleyway is there because of their easement. I'm sure it wasn't there before, that made that alleyway, and now it appears that they're just doubling the size of it. There's trees there, there's people's, I mean, it overlaps some property lines there. It's, that's not what I wanna see in town.
I understand that, but I mean, for the purpose of this,
Yeah.
this is 40 feet and it's gonna stay 40 feet. They can't come in and expand the easement because it's private property. It's not a public right of way as defined in the state of Ohio. So they can't just come in and say, you know what, we're gonna make this 60 feet now. They can't do
They
that.
don't say it, they ask. And then we get advised to vote for it.
Okay.
Because, you're
But I
gonna,
want you to understand, we're talking about two totally different things.
That's multiple properties. This is one single property.
Yep.
Well, the difference is one is private we're granting an easement. The other one is a public right-of-way. In the state of Ohio, and in most states, they can go and expand them at will, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's fine, then they can use their public right of ways then.
I can notify the school that
So, if in the future we build a new, water department buildings, is that gonna interfere?
That was the part that I seen too, is this gonna be in the area where we're thinking of the water plant?
Yeah, I think.
But I thought I seen some verbiage in there saying that if we need it moved, we can make them move it. I didn't highlight it,
We don't wanna
but I
box
thought
it.
I was pretty sure I seen that in
We don't
there,
wanna box it.
that the land is ours.
So what would be a better place, like along the road?
Without going out and looking at the site, I wouldn't have any idea how they wanna get power to the building.
I'm all for supporting the school, but they might as well do it right over.
Well, especially if the water plant,
Yeah.
that's. Maybe the school
It's
can pay for
incorrect.
the power for the water plant.
in their easement conveyance, it does say that they can enlarge. Interesting. I'll
But they're
notify.
just, they're looking for the
And
shortest.
it does say that we shouldn't place any structures on the easement.
Right there it was on the
Within the-
very last line of the, at the top of the page, I'd have to go back over it. If any governmental authority requires grantee, that'd be us, right?
Yeah.
Relocate the facilities contemplated by this grant, this easement conveys the right to relocate such facilities to a comparable location of grantees choosing without the need for a new easement. I guess that's what I read. We wouldn't have to make a new easement, we just have it moved.
I'll convey to the school that.
See if there's an alternative, they can come up with an alternative, I guess, as a proposed crossing. That could conflict with the water plant in the future.
I'll share that information.
So that's tabled for now.
I'm all for getting electricity, but I don't know.
So that's all.
If they can figure something out, we can call a special meeting if there's a reason they need it to get power to the building. We can have a meeting and get it taken care of if there's something we need to do. Or if we can satisfy our needs.
Moving on to committee reports. I don't think there was any committee meetings I'm aware of.
I'm aware of.
Do you have any-
New business?
Just a couple updates. I had a Teams meeting with representatives of CT Consulting regarding doing the cost benefit analysis on Schaefer Road today. We've signed an agreement with them at a cost of $10,000, and I told them that my timeline would be have it completed by the end of the year. And so they're starting to look at it, and they'll get back with me, but they kind of feel as though if it meets specific criteria, there may be an opportunity that we'll actually be able to get it funded. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Who is this with, please?
CT Consulting. And then the second thing is I signed an agreement with CT Consulting for preliminary engineering for Canal and Wentworth water and storm sewer replacement at a cost of $74,500, and they'll begin working on that. And I worked with our esteemed fiscal officer and had set up that we would receive no billing prior to January 1, so we didn't have to do carryover POs.
Canal, Wentworth, what was the other one?
Schaefer Road.
When they put in new water lines, do they abandon the old and put it on the other side of the street?
We'll see what the report comes back and what the recommendation of engineering is.
That's what they're.
Depending on the water lines, if it's anything but plastic, many times they'll crush it. But I mean, it's plastic this year, it won't be, but it's really my update. My vacation was very good. I appreciate nobody texting, emailing. My phone didn't even work for 2.5 days, so you wouldn't have got a hold of me anyway, so.
Oh, yeah, they got the, what do you call it, the, when there's a water main break, what's that?
The Iris alert.
Oh, Iris alert. Interesting thing. We finally got a bill,
$345.
$345.
Is that what it is a year?
That was based on 300, what the bill said was
Signups.
300 signups.
A year.
That must be their minimum.
It's gotta be the minimum, because
It's
we
gotta
only
be
have one away.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
so we're paying for 300 and only
we
100
got
people
room for
use
more
it.
people to sign up, so
A lot more room.
people wanna sign up for the Iris
So-
alert.
Do we need to re-sign up again, because I signed up for that when I first got on, and.
No, we're not sending out alerts. We've had problems with them. We actually had a conversation with them finally today. They called us back, and Val and I, we sent out a test. Did you get a
I got a
test?
test.
Okay,
This
so
is something about the
we sent out a
work on
test just to Val and to Kevin, because I don't want to ring everybody's house phone and everything else, just to say, hey, we're having a test.
I got a test too, and Val wanted to know whether.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had done one last week or whatever when I was gone. But, so we've gotten it figured out and gotten it taken care of, so we'll start getting some things moving forward on that, trying to encourage people. I wish we could stuff it in with their electric bill, but that's just a card, so we can't do that. But
And we can't print it on there, because we already tried to
No,
come up
there's
with
no
that, 'cause
space.
and they won't. They said since the preparation or whatever, they can't run it through the printer twice or something like, because we
Yeah.
talked about that with Amy a while back to when we first started this whole thing. So.
Yeah. So that's all I got at the moment.
I got a little new business, got a little old business too, but I'll make this fast. I went to a meeting Thursday evening, there was a gentleman there named Archie Lundsey, and he is the Chief Community Officer for the Northwest District of the Environmental Protection Agency. And he's a liaison between municipal government and the EPA, because so many times he said that they've got a bad rap, that they won't work with us, and we can't get any answers, and everything's put in the back burner. So his job is to bridge that gap. So I don't know if you're familiar with him, or you have his number, or anything, okay, sure. So he seemed like pretty good.
I do have a conference call with the EPA, I believe tomorrow at 10 o'clock, regarding the water plant. What we found is that they sent back information that they needed, and it became very clear that they were looking at our general plan as our construction plan, which in fact, I don't know how they got that. There's not even any schematics or drawings, but anyways, so we have a conference call with the EPA and with the engineering firm and myself tomorrow to try to clarify, to get this moved forward, so we then start looking at funding the cost of actual engineering.
How about splash pad? Looks like they dropped off a bunch of stuff there, and it's kind of, are they still working on it, or are they waiting for?
Well, I think part of it is they're using volunteer work or volunteer help, but I think the biggest problem they have is the engineering firm. I don't know as of yet. I drove by yesterday and I didn't see any updated stakes. They have to come out and stake where the water features go, and they're still waiting for these guys to come back and do that. And until they do that, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
So,
How about water tower rework?
the bid book is about done. There is a chance we may go to bid yet this month. I would venture to say it'll be early next month, with work to be done in the spring of next year.
And one last thing I have, yesterday I was driving by, the sidewalk looks great. Erie Street sidewalk looks great. Warms my heart to see people walking on it and they're not on the road anymore. But the construction company was dropping off some equipment and they took a big steel structure off of a trailer and dropped it right on the sidewalk.
That sidewalk wasn't supposed to be there.
I'm sure they damaged it.
Well,
I
they're
saw
gonna take it
I
out.
saw them slam it down on it.
Yeah. So what happened is that I explained to the contractor doing the sidewalk, do not do the sidewalk on the Stuppy property.
No.
Because they're gonna come in, they're gonna dig it all up, they're gonna put a road in. So when that's done, then I'll have you come back and take the sidewalks and bring it up to the curbing. Something got lost in the translation. They poured the sidewalk all the way across the property. So it has to be cut and be removed anyways.
So that's where they busted it up.
Yeah,
So
I don't
I
know.
just held busted up.
I saw that thing. I watched them. I was driving by. I was like, no. And we were like, when I was like, ah. I thought I was late for something. I thought I would stop and ask them what's going on, but then by the time I got done and I went back around, they were gone.
Yeah.
I kind of wondered about the sidewalk across there
Yeah.
too, right after I seen the email saying
Tim
they're closing
Copsey-
the road for excavation across there. I was like, we just put a sidewalk in.
Well,
We
Tim
got-
Copsey
tighten
called
this
me and
out better.
said, they poured that concrete across that lot. I said, what lot? I said, oh my Lord.
Well, if anything, it's a good temporary for now.
Yeah, fills the gap.
Has there been anything with Wilcox Street trailer? Has there been any communication and working with, I saw the email that was sent out by people on Wilcox Street, you know?
Didn't we we were trying to get someone to advise
This,
on that.
look, you know,
But-
this discussion needs to be an executive session if we're gonna have a discussion on this. But to my knowledge, nothing's happened.
So do we need a motion to go to executive session?
Except
I don't know, counsel.
because you can't be part of it, right, relative
He
to
can-
the.
I can be part of it procedurally wise, if we're talking about zoning, and what the procedure would be. That I can be
He can't
involved in.
represent us.
I can talk procedural about zoning, but again, I don't know what's going on with any of the zoning appeals, zoning boards, variances. and
As of last month, I thought you guys made the decision until the zoning board of appeals came in and asked for information from you guys, or.
As far as I know, there's
And
nothing.
nothing, to my knowledge, has been. So it's still on zoning board of appeals, I believe, correct?
I think we do need to discuss it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I don't wanna be step out of bounds, but you can't be a part of the discussion
Why?
because you have an actual interest in it.
You can go with me, Bryce.
Okay.
Sit in detention.
So are we making
You
a
can't
motion?
go into executive session if you leave.
What?
Gotta have an attorney present.
Gotta have an attorney
for
present.
for-
Client-attorney privilege.
No, we can go into executive session for any, for what may be pending litigation.
Have to have an attorney present.
Okay, I'll be there present on that. Okay, because I can advise about procedure.
Correct.
Which, we don't have to go into executive session for that, because how it works is, my understanding is, again, I spoke with, I tried to contact Gabe this afternoon, but obviously, because I do have a conflict of interest with the company that owns the trailer now, nobody's contacted me. However, what would happen is, my understanding is that somebody appealed the decision of the zoning inspector. Then it would go to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I did.
Once the Board of Zoning Appeals issues a decision,
They
it would
did.
be my understanding then that an attorney
Mhm.
would appeal that to the Court of Common Pleas. That's the procedure.
That is the procedure. That's why I don't
What's
know why
going
the
on and
zoning.
happened with that, I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure you all remember, I said several months ago, if it gets that far, somebody's gonna have to get another attorney, because I couldn't do it, to represent,
Mhm.
the village at that appeal.
Yeah, that's
Now,
why.
that's
I'm not-
all, I don't know anything further than that.
And that's why I'm not sure why we're even, the zoning appeals already made their decision. It's not like they can go back and change it. They've made the decision. and-
Well, they can't go back, that's why you have an.
No, now it goes to court. Once they've made their decision, they can't go back and change it. That's what he was
I
saying.
think that they can appeal the decision.
Once it gets,
Without going to court.
once it's appealed to the court, they can do anything they want.
Right.
Two attorneys could get together and say, hey, we're doing this, and that's it. And then it would be the court that would be overriding everything pursuant to the agreement of the attorneys. Again, procedurally wise, that's how it would work.
So that's all we know.
So actually, the question would be, Jason, for you, would be, and we can give them a call, I don't even know who's on the zoning board of appeals, contact them and ask them what's going on, because if that's been appealed, you know, they gotta turn over a transcript, so on and so forth with that, and I'm sure they could advise them on procedure.
So what was the decision?
It
To
was-
not allow it,
Right.
right?
Unanimous.
So at that point, then you're saying the party that owns the trailer, they can appeal it to the courts.
Correct.
And that's not happened.
That's,
Not
as
now.
far as I know, it hasn't happened.
So what does the village have to do
Yeah, that's my
to
question.
enforce? Because their decision, the zoning board of appeals decision was, we're not allowing this, and the trailer's still sitting there, and so what are we supposed to do next? Do we need to take action to get rid of it?
It sounds like it needs to go to court. It sounds like if they really want the trailer,
They're not-
they've gotta appeal it.
But they've been told.
Oh,
no.
right, what do we,
So,
yeah, okay, we're
So if we
past
do
the 30
nothing,
days.
it continues to sit there,
Mhm.
which is probably why we haven't taken action to enforce what the zoning board of appeals ruled on,
Right.
their decision, so they're not gonna do anything with it until the village then says, okay, we're gonna enforce this.
Right, yeah, they had 30 days,
So,
is what they were given. And we're way past that.
so we have to support the decision of the zoning board of appeals, and what's our next step?
That's where I can't advise on.
So
Well, there's a section in our zoning manual, it's 2013-22. And in a nutshell, council has no oversight of zoning and doesn't deal with zoning matters. So we don't do anything. Council doesn't do anything. I mean, if it comes to a point where they need an attorney, council would have to employ an attorney to assist them. But I mean, council doesn't take action. It clearly states that we don't have the authority to do so. That it is zoning, the zoning board of appeals that controls the zoning in this village. Citizens can go to court and take action based on our zoning laws. If they think government's moving too slow or isn't the right resolution or the appropriate outcome, but
right now, there's nothing happening.
I understand that.
So,
Well, the politics.
yeah, so what needs to happen?
One of two
What
things.
is the village supposed to do? I guess
One of
is
two
my question.
things. Either the person owning the trailer sues us,
Yep.
or zoning files in court to get an injunction to get it moved.
Before zoning can do that, that's when council would have to make the decision if they want to employ another attorney.
Correct.
So until the zoning board comes and asks the council we would like for you to hire an attorney, really, my understanding is council can't do
That's
anything
where I was at,
until
until somebody
Gabe.
said, here's what we need, and this is why we need it,
And
and
then
I've never had anybody do that.
So until we get more answers to our hands are tied.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Shane, you can advise us on up to the point to where we need representation. You can say you are now in a position you need representation, is that true or is that not true?
No, what I can do is would be to advise you on procedure. For example, if somebody comes to me from the Board of Appeals or something and says, they appealed it, Mr. Lee, you gotta turn all this over and now you need an attorney.
Okay,
Here's some numbers. Just for example, if somebody were to sue the village in federal court for some reason, you know, no local attorney, I'm not licensed in federal court, I'm not going to federal court, you would have to hire a firm to represent the village. So whether it's conflict of interest or just not licensed in that court, it's not uncommon a situation like this, especially in small villages where, you know, that. But no, Board of Appeals come to me, say somebody appealed this, here's what we have to do. You
say
guys
this
have
is
to
what
do it.
we've received, do we need to hire a lawyer, is that?
Yes,
And
exactly.
you can say yes or no, or
Absolutely,
you can say not yet?
absolutely. Then the next step would be a resolution, you know, giving the mayor permission to hire an attorney to do that.
That's where we're at.
And yeah, it is.
But when they make that, when they were given 30 days to, you know, do something about it, and they haven't. Then the process begins where they begin to get fined and all those things start to happen, right? And that's not happened.
I don't know.
The conversation you need to have is with your zoning inspector.
So are you saying on the 16th we should ask these questions to Gabe?
Well, I
Either
mean,
just contact him outside.
we're all
of
sitting
work.
there asking each other the question, and none of us knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I'd at least ask the question to somebody that's supposed to know what's going on.
I mean, you know what you wanna know.
Yeah.
You contact Gabe and see if he can answer your questions.
I will contact.
That would be, I mean, I've had conversations with Gabe myself, but, and that's where, when I was at the meeting before, and I'll say it again, I said it before, nobody's come to me and said, we're at a point, we need an attorney, and we need you guys to say yes or no.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen anything like that yet from anybody. I've seen all this stuff going back and forth, people's giving me all this stuff, but I have not seen anything in there where it says council needs to hire an attorney to represent the zoning board of appeals yet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I
And that's what
understand.
I've said before, unless I see something like that, our hands are tied.
Okay.
Guess we don't need to an executive session.
Okay.
Can I get a stay?
I think we already moved into old business, obviously, since we were discussing that. Is there any other old business?
Okay.
Oh, I'm
Was
sorry.
there a meeting on October 26th? Because I noticed nobody gave a report on it, and it has it on the calendar.
For,
Personnel.
Personnel meeting, October 26th, and everybody said there was no meeting, but I was just wondering,
It was an executive session for compensation of personnel,
mm,
and that's why we didn't say anything, because it was an executive session, and
could I get a copy of those minutes?
there is
there's no
no
minutes.
You are required to, under the Ohio Open Meetings Act, to keep the minutes.
Yeah, well, that's right, because the executive session, you kept when we started, when we went into
Yeah,
executive
that's, I
session, when we
mean,
came
I
out.
can give
so
you a
you
piece of
can give
paper that
them those-
says,
yeah.
we started and we came out of executive session with no action, that's what the minutes will say.
So, I didn't think we were allowed to have any executive, or any meeting where the whole purpose was executive session unless it was stated what it was.
I stated what it was.
Executive session cannot be the reason in the Open Meetings Act.
No,
What was it
the
then?
title, it was for compensation of personnel, which is a reason for executive session, and it contained, you don't take minutes in executive session.
Yes, you do.
No, it's against the law.
Yes, you do. It's right in the Open Meetings Act, and I can read it to you if you
I'm not
want.
gonna sit here and argue with you.
Okay, I still want a copy of them.
There's no minutes.
I
You
also
won't be
want
getting
an
it.
affidavit saying where this meeting was published.
It was on the website.
Give me an affidavit of it. You're required to provide an affidavit from your
That
publisher.
whole working together thing. Huh?
No, I'm talking about following the rules that we all voted, said we're gonna uphold.
What good is an executive session then?
Good, that's a good question. Why was it labeled as an executive
Because
session?
it was about the benefits for the village people, which is not supposed to be out in public for everyone.
It
It's
has
Do
the-
to
not
do-
have a meeting that is sole purpose is executive session.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No.
Shane,
Yeah. What?
can you have
I
a,
don't even know what meeting you guys are talking about.
can you have a sole thing,
I
where the
think we can
only
deal with this for the
thing on the
next couple
agenda
days.
item, the only thing on the agenda is executive session.
What was this, are you talking about personnel committee?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
right,
so
the open
committee was
meeting.
going to meet,
Yes,
and the
as an
committee
open
met,
meeting.
and the committee was compensation and personnel.
It was an executive session for compensation of
It
personnel.
was
we
the only thing on
had
the
a
agenda.
meeting for.
I will give you that answer within the next 30 days.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We had a
Okay,
meeting for personnel and compensation,
On the
And-
26th?
and then we went, and when we started to discuss that, we went into executive session to discuss it.
and my
And
question
then
is,
we came out of executive
And
session.
Bryce, you wanna know?
Where it was
And there's no
published.
decisions been made.
where it was published,
Our website.
and if I could get a copy of the affidavit.
Who does an affidavit?
Any publication, it has to be on publicnoticesohio.com by Ohio Code 7.12 or 712.02. So, my problem is we have all these meetings happening, and not one of them is searchable on publicnoticesohio.com.
I've never even heard of it.
I've never heard.
That's a real problem,
Well, it's
considering
not
we're
a
a
real
municipality. Now, we always, when West Bend published all of them, we did put them up there for you, because it's required by law.
Okay, he'll get you an answer on it, and we'll get back to, he'll get you the answer, and we'll
This
go
is-
from there. So,
Okay, this is something Melanie always required.
okay, that's fine, Bryce. As acting as the mayor, I'm telling you, he said he will get you an answer within 30 days. We don't have
Okay.
the rest of it, so that's what it'll be.
Well,
He'll
that's,
get you an
that's
answer.
why I'm just giving some education, because Melanie always told us, hey, it's gotta be public, it's gotta be open, and it's gotta be transparent. But yes, publicnoticesohio.com is, you can look up like Village of Paulding, they're all on there.
Okay, so you got that, Shane?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any other old business?
Yeah, I'll make this really quick. I went to a meeting December 7th, Ed Bowen was there, who's the EMA director. The county, the state, but especially the county, is gearing up for this solar eclipse, April 8th. They're expecting 5,000 additional people in Paulding County. We checked Fort Wayne and Defiance, the hotels are filling up already from people from Antwerp, Alaska, people from Japan. People really get into this. Here's my question. For the area that this is gonna affect, Antwerp is on the edge of it. Places like Melrose, Laddie, Oakwood, Paulding are gonna be right in the middle of it. They're gonna have over 4 minutes of total darkness. Antwerp is gonna have 24 seconds. Now, the fairground is gonna be turned into a camping ground, all kinds of food trucks, entertainment going on overnight. It's gonna be a big deal. My question, they wanna know, since Antwerp is on the border, do we want our name put in a publication that they're telling what all these different towns are gonna have? Churches are renting their kitchens, churches are renting their restrooms, they're putting up food stands, they're renting parking lots because the traffic. I'm relaying information, the traffic is supposed to be terrible. Especially with 127 closed. They're talking up to 8 hours of traffic tie-ups in Paulding County. I'm relaying
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, that's,
I'm relaying
he's been telling me that for 2
Yeah.
years.
Um,
24
like 12 hours of darkness every day.
When is this?
April 8th, it's a Monday.
Feels like 20 hours of darkness a day
Yeah.
right now.
What's the time frame on whether or not we wanna be listed on some sort of website?
I got another
Viewing
meeting,
area.
I got another meeting December 7th, and all I need to know from you is you want me to tell Ed, yeah, put our name in the publication? And then I guess the route to go is we make it known to the businesses that we're doing this, and they can do what they want to with it. I'm not.
Are we supposed to, expected to provide something?
I don't
Like, do we
think
wanna
we
get
are.
vendor certificates and charge like a heck of a lot and make a lot of money?
Well, I don't know that we have to do anything other than contact them and see if they wanna be involved in the publication. This is it'll probably be like it always is when there's a meteor shower in, it'll probably be so cloudy you can't see your hand in front of your face. But it's supposed to be, when you look in the west in the evening and it's bright orange, the whole sky is supposed to be like this. It's a clear day. And we're going to total darkness at 3:10 in the afternoon, but we're only gonna do it for 24 seconds because we're on this.
What would be the negative if we don't put our name on it?
Well, I think the only negative, Bryce, would be that they're seeing this as an opportunity for organizations and for churches and groups to
Fundraising.
raise some money, yeah.
Okay.
And if we don't do it
Mhm.
on our end of it,
I know that we are still listed, like on the weather sites and all that. We are already listed on there.
okay.
But I would make a resolution or something to say that we support it if that's what we need to.
Okay, and there's, I don't know the publication, what all's going to be on there. I haven't seen any copy of it yet, but he was asking, do you guys wanna be on it? I don't see, my biggest drawback with it is if Antwerp is on the boundary for 24 seconds and Paulding and Oakland, this place is gonna be on for an extended time, people are gonna be over there instead of here. And a lot of these places might put a lot of money and a lot of work in setting up booths and stuff to no avail. Rochester Park, you're all familiar with. People have called, I can't think of the fellow's name that was over here on the Parks Department, and said they're calling constantly, wanting camping sites, and they're not gonna let them camp in Rochester Park because if you know they've redone it and it's beautiful. They don't want them in there. They're gonna let them park to view it, but you're not gonna camp in there. And there's other places in the county that they're gonna let them camp, places they're not gonna let them camp. But, It's a lot bigger deal than I figured it'd be.
What day is this on?
April 8th, Monday.
Spots out back.
Monday.
Sounds like pretty cool.
I don't think we'd have to have a resolution for this, because there's no cost to it, right? It'd just be a matter of,
No, we're not
matter of
having-
general consensus, I would say.
No, I mean, a lot of times resolutions have no cost.
And what time is it supposed to be right here?
It's supposed to be at 3:10, we'll go to 24 seconds of
3:10
total.
in the afternoon.
3:10 in the afternoon, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I've got it on my
Take a shower
calendar.
and come out and it's over with.
They're making a big deal, and they're saying there were 5,000 plus people in Portage County.
Good.
And and checked with local motels, and they're already filling up, and we had people there were people from Anchorage, Alaska, that already booked, and quite a few from Japan. That people really get into this and follow this, yeah.
Thanks for checking on that, Steve.
No,
That's
my
great.
pleasure, I'm here for it.
I'm neutral on it, I don't care
And
if
I
you tell them
haven't-
or not.
And the reason I brought it up tonight, I have another meeting December 7th, and they're gonna wanna know, are we going to, yeah, let's go with it, or no, we're just gonna sit by and.
I'll let you guys decide.
I feel all this pressure.
Does anybody have any objections to be listed? If not,
I can't see what it hurt to be listed, other than the fact that people might waste their time setting up food stands or something, but
It's a risk.
that's their,
Yeah.
that's
People
up to them.
still
That's
need to
their
eat
choice.
even if it's cloudy,
that's right.
so.
So you want me to come
Even if
in?
it's dark for 24 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool, right? So it's gonna be sunlight, then it's gonna get darker and complete
They're
darkness
saying total
in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're right in the path from Texas all the way up through here.
and it's supposed to be spectacular.
It's only like a 20-mile wide area.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're in consensus.
All right, any other old business?
So is that a go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're good there?
thank you for that.
Any other old business?
No, mayor, you got the mayor's report.
Okay, mayor's report. The total collected was $2,357. That is $1,733 to the village, $600 to the state, and $24 to the indigent driver.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will say one thing before we leave. I was asked to just mention the fall festival that's Saturday from 11 to 2 at the MAC. It's the Lifewise Academy is putting on. It was the one that the Splash Pad Committee did for a couple years, but they turned it over to Lifewise so they could benefit from that crowd. So if you can get out there and get involved in that, yay rah. And I think with that, we can adjourn.
Motion
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.